Hey everyone, it's me, Taehyung. Before we start, I want to thank every single person watching right now. Whether you've been with me since the beginning or you're someone who only recently found me, I'm grateful you're here. Sometimes life moves so fast that we forget to slow down and talk from the heart. Tonight, I don't want to speak as an idol, not as a public figure, and not as someone you see only through screens. I want to speak as a human being, as Kim Taehyung. You might think you know everything about me from articles, rumors, interviews, or the stories people create. But the truth is, there are parts of my life, parts of my heart that I've never shared. Not because I wanted to hide them, but because some things are too precious, too fragile, and too real to give to the world easily. So, tonight, I want to open up honestly, fully, even if it's difficult, even if it changes everything. Because you've supported me with love that I can never repay, and you deserve to hear the truth from me, not from rumors, not from speculation, but directly from my own voice. I know this isn't going to be easy. I know some hearts might shake and some emotions might get heavy. But if you choose to stay with me through this story, then I promise you'll understand me more than ever before. Not just the artist you see on stage, but the man behind the spotlight. Are you ready? Because tonight, I'm finally ready to tell you everything. The lights were burning into my skin, but somehow I felt cold. It was the kind of cold that starts in the chest, the kind that warns something is about to change forever. I sat there, pretending everything was normal, pretending this was just another podcast, just another interview, just another day of being Kim Tae-young, but my hands under the table were shaking. I knew the question was coming. I knew it the moment I agreed to this appearance. The rumors, the headlines, the whispers, they piled up too fast to ignore, and I could have denied it. I could have laughed it off like idols do, but I was tired of acting, tired of hiding, tired of swallowing a truth that never belonged inside me in the first place. The host leaned in with that signature teasing tone that always made the audience excited. So, Taehyung, the world wants to know, are the marriage rumors true? It should have been a joke. It should have been a moment to laugh it away and move on. But when my eyes drifted to the person sitting a few feet across from me, to Jungkook, my heart did something violent. Because no one in the studio understood the weight of this question except him and me. And I didn't want to lie in front of him. I swallowed and forced myself to speak. Yes, I answered, I've chosen someone to marry. The word didn't make a sound after that. The host's smile froze. Producers behind the cameras lowered their headsets. Even the fans in the live audience stopped breathing. But the silence that terrified me wasn't any of that. It was the silence coming from Jungkook. He didn't blink, he didn't move, he just stared at me like I had said something impossible, like I had betrayed him without touching him, like his body was here, but his soul had been punched out of him. He finally looked away, not down, not up, just away from me. And that single movement hurt more than anything I had ever experienced. In that moment, I realized something awful. I thought I had prepared for this confession. I hadn't prepared for Jungkook's reaction. The host tried to recover, trying to force a laugh back into the room, but his voice shook. Wow, that's really big news. Congratulations. Can you tell us who the lucky person is? My chest collapsed. I wasn't supposed to say a name. I wasn't supposed to reveal anything. My company made that clear. My PR team repeated it endlessly. But none of their warnings mattered when Jungkook was sitting there looking destroyed. I wanted to reach for him. I wanted to tell him everything privately. Not like this, not in front of millions of people, not with the two of us wearing microphones. But I couldn't take it back. The confession was already out in the world. So I answered the only safe way I could. They're not from the industry. That's all I can say. Jungkook flinched. No one else noticed it. Not the host, not the cameras, not the fans, but I did. The tiniest movement of his body, like my words, were knives, and each syllable hit somewhere deep. He wasn't angry. That would have been easier. He was hurting, and that was unbearable. The interview moved on, or at least it tried to. Questions kept coming, laughter returned, the audience clapped when the on-air sign blinked. But inside the two of us, nothing moved again. Every time I laughed, I could feel Jungkook beside me, not laughing. Every time I spoke, I could feel him holding back words. Every time my eyes drifted toward him, I could feel him intentionally looking elsewhere. Because he knew, of all the people in the world, he knew who I wanted to marry. And he knew it wasn't the person the public imagined. It was him, but he also knew painfully that I chose someone else. It wasn't because I loved him any less. It was because the world wouldn't let us choose each other. I survived the podcast. Cameras went dark, microphones clicked off, the host shook hands like nothing happened. Staff celebrated a successful recording. Fans screamed outside for autographs. But Jungkook left before anyone could see him break. He didn't wait for me backstage. He didn't look back once. He didn't even let me call his name. He walked past me like I was a stranger. And that was the moment I understood what I had done. I had confessed marriage to the world, but I had destroyed Jungkook in private. I told myself the truth had to come out eventually. I told myself this was the right decision. I told myself we would survive this. But as the dressing room door closed and silence wrapped around me, the realization hit. I didn't just confess marriage on that podcast. I confessed the end of something sacred, and that was only the beginning. I didn't remember how I got home that night. I didn't remember the ride, the cameras, the security guards, the flashes from fans waiting outside the studio. Everything felt like a blur. Everything except Jungkook walking away from me. That image replayed in my mind like a punishment I couldn't escape. When I reached my apartment, I didn't even turn on the light. I just stood in the dark with my coat still on, hands still trembling. I tried to breathe normally, but every inhale hurt. I stared at my phone, waiting for a message, a call, anything. Maybe Jungkook would text me. Maybe he would yell at me, curse at me, say he hated me. I would have accepted it. I deserved it. Silence was worse than anger. But my phone stayed dark. I sat on the floor, back against the wall, feeling stupid for hoping. It was pathetic, really confessing marriage on a podcast, then sitting alone praying that the person I didn't choose would reach out. I laughed once bitterly at the irony. People thought the hardest thing was telling the world I was getting married. They didn't know the hardest thing was looking at Jungkook while I said it. Hours passed. The only sound in my apartment was my own heartbeat. Then the notification buzz shattered the silence. I lunged for the phone so fast I nearly dropped it. But it wasn't him. It was my fiancé. Are you home? Are you okay? You sounded nervous during the show. I stared at the message for a long time before replying. I'm home. I'm fine. I wasn't fine. They didn't know that. They didn't have to. None of this was their fault. They didn't force me to choose them. I did that. I chose the safe option, the realistic one, the one with no danger, no scandal, no destruction, the one that wasn't Jungkook. I typed another message, then erased it. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to talk about the pain I caused or the pain I felt. I didn't know how to admit that even though I was getting married, I was in love with someone else. After a moment, I placed the phone face down and closed my eyes. But every time I blinked, I saw Jungkook's expression from the podcast the exact moment realization hit him. He didn't just look hurt, he looked replaced. The buzz came again. This time, it wasn't my fiancé. It was a group chat, the members. The texts came one after another. Bro, what's going on? Congrats? That was unexpected. Are you okay? We should talk soon. No message from Jungkook. I left the group chat on delivered and stood up, grabbing my coat again. I couldn't stay here. I couldn't breathe here. I didn't know where I was going, but my body did the same way it always knew. Without thinking, without planning, without hesitation, I walked out and got into a car. My mind screamed, "Don't go." But my heart whispered, "He needs to hear the truth from you, not from the world." When I arrived at Jungkook's place, the lights were off except for one dim lamp in the living room. I hesitated before knocking once, softly. I didn't hear footsteps. I almost turned away, then the door opened. He didn't look surprised to see me. It was almost worse that way. He stepped aside, silent, letting me in. I walked past him slowly. The air between us was sharp, like we were standing inside the aftermath of an explosion. I wanted to speak first, but I didn't know how. Jungkook broke the silence before I could. "So it's real." His voice was steady, but I could hear everything underneath it, the shaking he refused to show. "Yes," I answered quietly. "It's real." He nodded once. No disbelief, no confusion, just acceptance that felt like a knife. "You didn't tell me," he said. "Out of everyone in the world, you didn't tell me." I could have apologized. I could have explained. But no combination of words would soften the truth. "I didn't want to hurt you," I whispered. He laughed, not because it was funny, but because the pain had nowhere else to go. "You didn't want to hurt me?" He shook his head. "You think finding out with the rest of the world hurt less?" My breath broke. Nothing I said would fix this. "I was going to tell you privately," I said, voice trembling. But then everything started happening so fast, and No. He cut me off. "You were going to tell me after you made sure there was no room for me to say anything back." The accuracy of it made me flinch. I looked at him, finally really looking, the tightness in his jaw, the redness in his eyes, the anger he was fighting to control. "You think I would have begged you not to get married?" he asked. "You think I would have ruined your life like that?" A tear hit the corner of my vision, but it didn't fall. I think you're the one person I can't say no to, I admitted. That broke him. Not with tears, with silence. The kind of silence that holds every memory we weren't allowed to speak about. Every night we stayed too long together. Every hug that lasted too many seconds. Every moment we looked at each other like the world wasn't watching. He stepped closer, and suddenly every part of me trembled. Tell me the truth, Tai, he said, voice barely above a breath. Do you love them? The question didn't hurt because I couldn't answer it. It hurt because the answer was simple. Yes, I said, I love them. Jungkook blinked once, nodded, but he didn't step back. But they're not you, I added. His breath caught not loud but violently enough for me to feel it. I continued because there was nothing left to protect. If the world was simpler, if we were just people, I would have chosen you every time. His eyes trembled, and for the first time tonight, I saw pain that wasn't anger. Something inside him broke and softened at the same time. But you didn't choose me, he whispered. I didn't deny it. I couldn't. No, I said, I didn't. We stood there, not touching, not speaking, trapped between love and reality. It felt like the universe was holding its breath, waiting to see which one of us would shatter first. Then Jungkook took one step closer, so close our foreheads nearly touched. His voice cracked for the first time. So what am I supposed to do with the way I love you? My heart gave up pretending to be strong. I didn't have an answer, and that was the most honest thing between us. I don't know who moved first, him or me. Maybe neither of us did. Maybe gravity finally decided to stop pretending we weren't meant to fall toward each other. One moment, we were standing inches apart, drowning in everything we never said, and the next moment, his hand was on the back of my neck, pulling me closer. Our lips didn't meet barely. It was like he was fighting himself even while holding me. His forehead pressed against mine, breath shaking against my mouth, and the conflict inside him was painfully clear. He wanted me. He hated that he wanted me. Both things were true. Just say it, Jungkook whispered, voice raw. Say you don't love me. Say it and I'll let you go right now. My whole body trembled. He wasn't asking for permission to love me. He was asking for the freedom to stop. But I couldn't give him that. I knew it and he knew it. I can't, I breathed. His fingers tightened against my neck like he was holding onto something already slipping away. I'm getting married, Jungkook, I said, voice breaking, and I still can't say I don't love you. He shut his eyes like he was in pain. Our lips were still barely touching close enough to feel every breath, too far to let either of us forget this wasn't allowed. He opened his eyes again, and suddenly I wasn't looking at the golden boy the world adored. I was looking at the man who had loved me in silence for too many years. Do you know how cruel that is? He asked. I nodded because I did. He let out a shaking breath, then pressed his lips lightly to mine. Not a kiss, a question, a memory, a goodbye he wasn't ready to say. My hands found his waist without permission, gripping the fabric of his hoodie like I had been drowning, and someone finally threw me air. Then the kiss deepened. It wasn't dramatic, no fireworks, no music, no perfect angles. It was desperate, messy. The kind of kiss made of unfinished years and stolen moments. The kind of kiss that wasn't supposed to happen again, but always did anyway. He backed me against the wall, not rough, but as if his body was trying to memorize mine one last time. I kissed him the way I always did, like we only had a second left. His hands slid to my jaw. My fingers dug into his back. We didn't breathe. Breathing felt like something for people who didn't have to hide. When we finally pulled apart, we were both gasping, shaking, refusing to let go, even though we knew we had to. This doesn't fix anything, Jungkook whispered. I know. It doesn't change that you're getting married. I know. It doesn't change that I'm not the one you chose. I closed my eyes but couldn't hide. No, I said, but it changes that I didn't want to let you go. Jungkook stepped back, and suddenly the distance between us was unbearable. He ran both hands through his hair, pacing once before turning back toward me with eyes full of something I couldn't categorize: love, anger, devotion, exhaustion, all of it at once. So what now? He asked. Do we keep doing this? Do we kiss in secret while you build a life with someone else? Do I sit in the audience at your wedding and clap for your happiness? His voice got louder, not angry at me, angry at fate. Do I become your best friend, your safe place, your memory? What the hell do you want from me, Taehyung? The truth ripped out of me before I could stop it. I want you to fight for me. The room froze. I didn't even realize I had said it until his eyes widened. It sounded selfish. It was selfish. But it was the realest thing I had ever admitted. I want you to fight for me. I repeated, softer, like a confession inside the confession. Because I can't, I don't know how. I'm scared. I'm scared of losing everything. I'm scared of the world. But I'm more scared of losing you. He stared at me like I had opened a door he didn't believe I'd ever open again. Fight who, Tae? He asked. The world, the company, the media, the fans, your family, your fiancé? I didn't answer because every part of me already knew he wouldn't let himself answer for me. He walked toward me again, but this time slower, calmer, accepting something. You want me to fight? He said. Okay, then let me ask you something. He held my face gently in his hands, not desperate now, not angry, just heartbreakingly honest. If I fight for you, will you choose me? My throat closed. That was the question I feared more than anything in my life. Not the media, not the scandal, not the marriage. That question. Because if I said yes, everything I had built would collapse. If I said no, I'd lose the love of my life forever. His thumbs brushed my cheeks, waiting. Don't give me an answer right now, he whispered. Just tell me when you know. He kissed my forehead, soft, final, devastating, then stepped away. The space between us felt enormous. I tried to reach for him, but my body wouldn't move. Maybe because deep inside I knew he was right. I had to decide not between comfort and chaos, not between safety and scandal, but between the truth and a lie I could live with. He walked to the door and opened it for me. His voice was gentle, but his eyes begged for something he refused to ask out loud. Go home, Tai, he said, and don't come back until you know what you want. I stood there, breathing like someone who had run too far and still didn't escape. I don't want to lose you, I whispered. You will, he said, if you choose the world instead of yourself. I walked out because I couldn't collapse in front of him again. The door closed behind me, soft, careful, respectful, like even the goodbye was trying not to hurt. But it still did. more than anything in my life. The night outside Jungkook's apartment was colder than I expected. Maybe it was just me. Maybe nothing had changed except the way everything felt. I walked to the car, but I didn't get in. I just stood there staring at the building, half hoping he would come running after me, half praying he wouldn't. He didn't. I got into the car eventually, but I didn't tell the driver where to go. My voice refused to work. The driver kept glancing at me through the mirror, waiting for an address, but his eyes softened when he saw I was fighting tears. He didn't ask questions, he just drove slowly through the city until I finally spoke. Take me anywhere, I whispered. So he drove without destination. And I watched the city pass like it belonged to a different version of me, a version who smiled, who didn't break hearts, who didn't have to choose between love and survival. My phone buzzed again. For a second, my heart lurched, but it wasn't Jungkook. It was my fiancé. People online are freaking out, but everyone seems happy for you. I'm proud of you. I stared at the message, feeling the weight of how unbroken and unbothered their world was. I should have felt comfort in their support. Instead, I felt guilt. I typed a reply without thinking too hard. Thank you, we'll talk tomorrow. I didn't hit send because I wasn't sure if tomorrow would exist the way everyone expected. I locked my phone and leaned my head back against the seat, forcing myself to breathe evenly before my chest collapsed again. Eventually, the driver stopped at the Han River and rolled down the window slightly. Fresh air might help, sir, he said softly. It was the kind of kindness that hurts. I stepped out and walked toward the railing. The river looked calm, like it didn't care about confessions or scandals or lovers who couldn't choose each other. I thought about the years, the ones no one saw, the private moments, the invisible closeness, the history we protected even from ourselves. There were signs from the beginning. The way he looked at me too long, the way I kept drifting toward him even when I shouldn't, the way we laughed too loudly when we were together, the way silence was never awkward between us, the way we found each other in every room. We were a secret long before we even understood we were a secret. I rubbed my hands over my face and cursed quietly under my breath because I wasn't confused about who I loved. I wasn't confused about what my heart wanted. I was confused about whether I deserved to want it. For so long, I convinced myself that loving Jungkook was reckless, impossible, selfish, that choosing him would destroy both of us, that choosing someone else would keep him safe. But tonight, he said something I couldn't shake. You lose me if you choose the world instead of yourself. I wasn't scared of losing the world. I was scared of losing him. I didn't realize I was crying until a drop hit the metal railing. I wiped my face quickly and turned away when I saw people approaching. Not fans, just strangers. Still, I couldn't let anyone see Kim Taehyung falling apart. I went back to the car and told the driver where to go. Home. When I walked into the apartment, I didn't even take off my shoes. I dropped onto the couch and stared at the ceiling, waiting for morning, waiting for something to make sense. Then my doorbell rang. My heart reacted before my mind did. I shot up from the couch, hoping, praying that it was him. I rushed to the door and opened it too quickly. It wasn't Jungkook. It was my fiancé. They looked worried, not angry, concerned, not suspicious. They stepped inside without waiting, and cupped my face with both hands gently. Tae, why do you look like you've been crying? Are the rumors too much? Did the podcast overwhelm you? Their voice was tender. They were everything I wished I could love enough. Everything safe, everything steady, everything the world would approve of. I'm okay, I lied. They hugged me tightly and I froze. My hands hovered awkwardly before resting on their back. I didn't want to hurt them. I didn't want them to ever know that the man holding them right now was in love with someone else. I wasn't a bad person, but I was becoming one. We sat together on the couch and they talked about wedding plans, supportive messages from friends, how excited they were for our future. I nodded in the right places, smiled when I needed to, responded softly so they wouldn't see anything wrong. But through every word they spoke, my mind was somewhere else. With him. When they finally left, I felt hollow. Not because they weren't good, but because they were. And good people don't deserve half of someone. I went to shower just to feel something different. I stood under the hot water until my skin burned, hoping it would drown out everything I felt. It didn't. When I came out, my phone was ringing. I ran toward it, breath already uneven. But the screen said, Jin Hyung. I answered, trying to sound normal. You okay? Jin asked. There was no judgment in his voice, just knowing. Yeah, I lied again. No, you're not, he said quietly. If you need to talk, I'm here. You don't have to carry everything alone. For a second, I almost told him. I almost told someone the truth for the first time. But the words stopped in my throat. Not because I didn't trust him, but because saying Jungkook's name out loud felt like crossing a line there was no coming back from. I'm just tired, Hing, I said. I know, just don't disappear. You don't have to be strong all the time. After the call, I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the blank wall across from me. My mind felt loud enough to break. I wanted Jungkook. I wanted freedom. I wanted a life that didn't hurt anyone. But no version of reality let me have all three. I fell asleep without meaning to. When I woke up, sunlight was filling the room. For a moment, everything was still. Then I saw my phone dozens of missed messages. Staff, PR, members, my fiancé, my manager, news alert everywhere. But there was one message that froze my blood instantly. From Jungkook. One sentence. When you're ready to tell me your answer, I'll be here, but I won't wait forever. I read it over and over until the words blurred. He wasn't threatening to leave. He was warning me that the universe wouldn't pause forever. My phone buzzed on the table. I didn't need to look to know it wasn't Jungkook. He didn't call. He didn't text. He didn't even open the group chat. Instead, it was my manager asking if I was okay, reminding me that the company wanted to talk tomorrow, saying that media outlets were tearing the podcast apart and that I should stay quiet until further notice. Stay quiet. Funny how that was always the solution. But how do you stay quiet when your heart is loud enough to drown you? I picked up my guitar not because I wanted to play, but because I didn't know what else to do with my hands. The first chords I played weren't planned. They didn't form a song. They were just the sound of confusion, guilt, love, regret, everything mixed into one. Music has always been the only place where I can confess without hurting anyone. But tonight, even music couldn't protect me from the truth. I whispered a question to no one. Did I lose him? The night didn't answer. The next morning came too fast. When I arrived at Haiba, the hallways felt wrong, too silent, too tense, too aware. People looked away, acted busy, avoided eye contact. I wasn't used to being treated like a problem. I wasn't used to being the scandal, but today I was both. The door to the conference room opened and I stepped inside. Several executives were already waiting. They didn't greet me, they didn't smile. One of them slid a tablet across the table, the podcast headline shining in red. Taehyung's marriage confession shatters fandom. Jungkook's reaction goes viral. I read it, but I didn't react. I had already lived it. Tonight wasn't easy to talk about. Maybe it wasn't easy to hear either, but if you're still here, listening until the very end, that means more to me than you can imagine. People often think that being on stage, winning awards, and smiling under bright lights means we're unshakable, like we don't feel fear, doubt, or heartbreak. But the truth is, I'm just a person trying to navigate love, friendship, responsibility, and reality in front of the entire world. When I confessed on the podcast that I had chosen someone to marry, the world heard a headline. Social media heard something to debate. But only a few people truly understood how much courage it took, how many nights I stayed awake, trying to decide whether I should speak or stay silent. And yes, maybe that confession changed things. Maybe it brought complications I didn't expect. Maybe it hurt people I never wanted to hurt. But I don't regret being honest. Because honesty is the only way to live without losing yourself. And to the person whose reaction shook the entire world, Jungkook. If one day you watch this, I hope you know that nothing, not even the biggest moment of my life, could erase the bond we built. I hope people understand that our connection is not something that fits into simple labels. It's not something the public can fully measure or define. It's ours and it's real. To the fans, the ones who laughed, cried, worried, defended, questioned, and stayed, I see you. I feel you. I hear the noise, but I also hear the love hidden beneath it all. I know some of you are scared of change. Some of you might feel like you're losing the version of me you're used to. But I want you to know something. Growing up doesn't mean leaving you behind. Finding love doesn't mean loving you less. Building a future doesn't mean forgetting the past that shaped me. You've been with me through every era of my life, from the boy who dreamed to the man who is learning how to hold onto his dreams while also holding onto real life. You've given me support that no camera could capture and comfort that no voice recording could replay. I don't take even 1 second of that for granted. Maybe the world will continue to talk. Maybe headlines will come and go. Maybe misunderstandings will happen again. But as long as you stay with me, I'll keep giving you the most honest version of myself. Even when it's messy, even when it's vulnerable, even when it scares me. So, thank you not just for being fans, but for being witnesses to my growth, my mistakes, my journey, and my heart. Thank you for allowing me to evolve without turning away. Thank you for letting me be human. And if someday you ever feel like you're losing me, I hope you remember this moment because the truth is, you're not. Whether I'm on stage, in the studio, laughing with the members, or building a future outside the spotlight, you're still part of my life. You always will be. This isn't a goodbye, it's not even an ending. It's a transition from silence to truth, from fear to honesty, from hiding to living. And I hope truly that you'll walk with me into the next chapter. Because I'm not just asking you to stay as my fans, I'm asking you to stay as the people who know my heart. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for loving me loudly, quietly, fiercely, and consistently. I love you too, and I always will.